नमः ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः ओम श्री सरस्वताय नमः ओम श्री गुरु दत्तात्रेय नमः ओम श्री महालक्ष्मी नमः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. So we'll be continuing Sri Ekanathi Bhagavat chapter 2 verse. We will be starting from verse 34 onwards. So just a quick recap, the last bit. So what is the sage Kavi telling? Not only this, but Sri Krishna himself has announced by raising his forearms that I am pleased only by devotion, which means that by devotion God becomes servant of the devotee. So here the importance of devotion, the love and devotion is being explained by the Rishi and the sage Kavi to King Janaka. And now let us continue and see what is the further knowledge he's going to give. All those ways of conduct which were taught by the Lord himself for his own easy realization, taught by the Lord himself for his own easy realization, even by those who are not very clever, but common people, are the ways of Bhagavatas and are very pleasing to him. This is actually very beautiful what is being said. The Lord has given us the way of devotion in order to give an opportunity for ordinary ignorant people to realize God without much effort, though they are not knowing any Vedas or sciences or word knowledge. And this is quite powerful. What is he saying? He's simply saying that, see, the Lord himself has given an opportunity and he's shown us the way. And what is the way? It's the way of devotion in order to give an opportunity for ordinary ignorant people. So we are not even talking about somebody who has to be qualified, somebody who has to have some criteria, nothing. They are simple, ordinary, even the ordinary, simple, ignorant people. You don't need to have any knowledge. You don't need to have any, degrees. You don't have to be born in a particular caste, creed, community, nothing. None of those things are required. What is simply being told is that all you need to have is, have love and devotion. And that is the path of devotion. That's what he's talking about. To realize God without much effort. See, understand, every other means, it requires a lot of effort. When I say lot, it requires arduous efforts. It's not easy at all. See, if you were to decipher God, say take the example of Sankhya Yoga. So in Sankhya Yoga, what does the yogi does? He's deciphering God. And to decipher God means you have to go into the mind and you have to understand, you have to contemplate on the knowledge. You're going and you're deciphering deeper and deeper and deeper to arrive at who this God is, what is the truth all about. And that's not an easy thing. And you have to be, following a certain code of conduct, and lot of things are there. But that requires arduous effort. Now here he's simply saying, in bhakti, you don't even have to put that much of effort. The effort is there, but it's not that much of an effort, though they are not knowing any Vedas or sciences or word knowledge. So what happens to these ordinary people? They are not understanding. They don't know any Vedas. They don't know what Vedas are, or sciences, or even word knowledge. But why he's saying here that God realized God without much effort? That is because, please understand, all you need to have here is the purity of your heart and purity of your mind. You just need a guileless heart. And to get that is not much of an effort. It can come very easily and naturally. So let us see how this can be achieved. Then, if you ask who were ignorant and yet were emancipated, one example is of the great elephant called Gajendra, and also Parikshit himself, who was protected from the death while he was in the womb. Absolutely. This is so beautiful. So who are ignorant? Ignorant are someone, say, now here is an example of Parikshit himself, because of whom Srimad Bhagavad came into existence. We are all today learning about it. It's a very beautiful opportunity. The Lord protected Parikshit in the womb, when he was in the womb of his mother Uttara. So the Lord himself has protected him. And wasn't he ignorant? Of course he was ignorant at that moment in time, but he had the grace to see the Mahavishnu, the Lord Shri Krishna Bhagavan himself in the womb. How beautiful was that? So what is required? Just devotion. That is all he's saying. Then, from obviating some obviating the troubles of taking births. In the case of Ambrisha, it was devotion which became helpful. The Lord Narayana himself has declared that he is at the service of his devotees. I think this is the same thing I ended when we finished the verse in the last verse, which is what he's saying, right? God becomes servant of the devotee. That is what Krishna Bhagwan has declared himself. So what does the God do? He becomes the servant of his own devotees, provided you have that love and devotion for him. That's the only way out. Nothing else is required. You don't need to study scriptures. You don't need to know Vedas, nothing. But have that absolute love and devotion to the divine Lord Shri Krishna Bhagwan. So here he's talking about Ambrisha. Actually, it's a very beautiful story which we will all be learning in Srimad Bhagavad. It is about this king called Ambrisha and how Lord, that is Lord Narayana, took the form of Dashavatar. Why this birth was given? And in fact, he goes and saves. He goes and saves this king, and he was such a great devotee. So you'll be learning about this story. So I'm not going to go detail in here. There is no exact count how many monkeys and forest animals have been freed. In order to free a bear like Jambavan, Sri Hari went into his cave and married his daughter Jambavati. So devotion is so powerful. So I'm sure you have heard about this bear called Jambavan, and when Lord Shri Krishna Bhagwan marries Jambavati. So what is the story? That is, it carries on from Lord Ram, that is Sri Ram, and he gives a promise to Jambavan, right? That I will marry your daughter. He tells his daughter also that you will not age. So as Sri Krishna Bhagwan, he fulfills the promise as Sri Ram which he had made. So why? Devotion. That's what it is all about. Then, devotion is so powerful. Again, it must be noted that such simple people like cowherds and also the cows themselves and the sons of cowherds who were friends of the Lord all delivered from bondage because of their devotion and love for God. So who are the cowherds and the cows and all? Everybody from Vrindavan. They are the gopis and the gopas. All the cows, everybody from Vrindavan were redeemed. They were given an opportunity to attain, the lotus feet of Sri Krishna Bhagwan. Everybody was so devoted. All that they were just very simple people. They were just the cowherds, right? They were all milkmen. And what did they do? They were in love with the Lord. That is all. That love and devotion is all you need. Maybe it was through their illicit relationship and love for God, love for Lord Krishna, innumerable gopis were liberated from the bondage of worldly life. Absolutely. It is not even illicit. It's how it's been told because that's how it's perceived. But the truth is they were united with him in mind, body, their thought, senses, everything. They were beyond the body as well. They were always in oneness with him. They were so much lost in him. How is this oneness? See, they may be milking the cow, but their thought is all Krishna Bhagwan. They were only thinking of him throughout the day. It's a very beautiful description given in one of the scriptures how the gopis would be throughout the day milking and doing all other activities, but in remembrance that, oh, we are going to meet Krishna, we are going to see him, he is going to be coming here. Actually, in later chapters, you will actually be reading about this, where Eknath Maharaj has explained the love of gopis for Sri Krishna Bhagwan. How beautiful is that? And that is the kind of love you need to have. They are pining for him throughout the day. And it said how they would wait to be around him, what would happen to them, how crazy they would go. That's the kind of love one needs to develop. So we will be learning about it. Then the Lord has shown the way of devotion for easy realization of absolute Brahman by even ignorant seekers. O King, this is the Bhagavata way of life in which devotion enjoys the greatest importance. According to this way of life, even weak and ignorant people attain liberty. So, no, it is not merely the Bhagavata. It is the wayside water fountain to quench the thirst of devotees, or it is a big boat given by the God himself that provides ferries across the ocean of mundane life through devotion. See, this material worldly existence can only be overcome through love and devotion to the divine Lord, nothing else. But your love has to come from the purest of your heart. What is that one word which my Guruji will say? You can't have self-conceit and deceit. You cannot have other thoughts. You cannot have, you cannot give yourself as a priority. See, whether all the gopis or everybody, in Vrindavan, the first thing is they would go with everything that they have to the Lord. They are not ashamed of something. Their parents are going to say something, their husband is going to say something, their wife is going to say something, or someone is going to tell. No, their everything, when they first get the whatever they used to have, whether it was ghee, milk, butter, they will all go to Yashoda Maya, and they want to meet Sri Krishna Bhagwan and offer everything to him first. This was their ritual. They did not think it is my family should get first. That they didn't even have that thought. They had a very pure heart. They had a pure mind. They were guileless, beings. That is what is required. In the material world, we are very calculative people. If you have to offer to God, first you will calculate, oh, this month first I need to do these things, then I will think about God. It is not like that. It is the other way around. See, understand, whatever today you have in your life is the blessing from the divine Lord. It is not because of you. So it should be that first let me offer to the divine Lord, and then, accept whatever is it as is prasad. That should be the devotion. When does this come in? This comes in only when you have that level of bhakti for Lord Krishna Bhagwan, not otherwise. Otherwise, you are a very self-centered human being. So here, with the God is giving you an opportunity to, become realized or redeem yourself through practicing this devotion. See, first, not everybody understands. I'm not saying day one you should know this, but actually when you're being given this knowledge, it is an opportunity given for you to evolve, to, practice devotion, practice love, understanding how we have to transform as a human being. That is what is very important. And how do you bring bhakti within yourself? That is what this knowledge is all about. Then, the devotees who sit in this boat do not experience the shocks. Okay, here. No. It is not merely the Bhagavata. It is the wayside water fountain to quench the thirst of devotees. Or it is a big boat given by the God himself that provides ferry across the ocean of mundane life through devotion. So your mundane life you can redeem this mundane life by sitting in the boat, which is provided by the divine Lord alone. It's an inference. He's just giving it in different examples. What does the Lord do? And today you have him. Your guru is teaching this knowledge, and he's the one who ferries you across the ocean, the other side, from the ocean of the mundane existence. And how does he do? Through devotion alone. The devotees who sit in this boat do not experience the shocks due to calamities in their life because they are protected by devotion. So what is the benefit you get? How do you enjoy the benefit? See, very beautifully put. The devotees who sit in this boat do not experience the shocks due to calamities in their life. See, your life, you think, oh, my life is very beautiful, my life is all hunky-dory, my future is going to be very good. We always have a very weird idea about our life. My Krishna Guruji taught a very important lesson, and in that lesson, he said something very powerful. What did he say, See, you can dream, you can think your life is going to be better. You are going to be able, you're hoping for something good to happen. And you're going to say, okay, I'm going to study, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to job, I'm going to become somebody great. But what you don't seem to understand is that all those things that you think are your dream, are your aspiration and your goals in life. But life is not exactly going to be that, because what you fail to understand is that you don't know what is written in your destiny. You have come with your prarabdha karma. Your destiny and your fate is something you don't know. And who knows this? Only the divine Lord knows this. The second thing which he was talking about is that the fructification of karma, that is the destiny, the fate, the things of favorable or non-favorable events, unfavorable events, they will happen exactly when the fructification of karma is supposed to happen. So for example, he just gave this very beautiful example, which is, see, everybody, there's a belief system that there is a god, there's a temple, it's called Visa Balaji in Andhra Pradesh or Telangana, one of these places. And this temple, everybody has this faith that when you go and worship this god, that you are going to be granted US visa. So his name is itself is Visa Balaji, and people very crazily go there. Now, how the fructification of this karma or destiny happens is what my Guruji was teaching. And he said 5,000 people have gone there, of which 500 people are supposed to any which way get the visa. It is not because you went to the temple you are going to get the visa. You are anyway supposed to get the visa because of your karma, because of your destiny. So when they go to that temple and they come back, and that exact period, the time, your fructification of the karma happens. So what happens? You have been granted the visa. So what do? You tell all your other friends and family and everybody, oh, I went to the temple, so I got the visa. Actually, you're attributing going to the temple is why you got the visa. What you don't seem to understand is that it is because the fructification of the karma happened, that is why you got the visa. So this is how it works. Now what happens to the rest of the people? They also believe, the rest of the 4,500 people or the others who had gone there also believe, oh, I have to go because see this happened. I'm also going to get my visa. Now this is how everybody looks at it. Now what you don't seem to understand is you don't have an idea about your future. So here is where you have an opportunity to redeem yourself through love and devotion. So one cannot think that because they went to the temple, did the visa came in. But what you don't seem to understand, it is the destiny which has played its cards. So what is he saying? Now this is, I gave you a favorable event. Now similarly, you might get into a lot of unfavorable events as well. Lot of bad things can happen in life. At that time, are you going to attribute it to some temple or anything? No, you're not going to. Now what happens? Now these are the calamities that you can avert when you are on the path of devotion, and that is the boat he's talking about. So what is he saying? The devotees who sit in the boat do not experience the shocks. What are the shocks? This is the karma, the effect of the karma. So when you sit in the boat, what happens? The karma is anyways going to play its cards. But what you don't feel? The shock of it. And what is those? Due to calamities in their life. Those shocks, it's like a shock absorber. He absorbs 90% of the impact of that karma. Only 10% is felt. But you know what happens to people? It's a very strange thing which I have personally seen. When my Guruji, absorbs these shocks, when the devotees or anybody, disciple or whoever comes to him, he actually absorbs this shock, 90%. And only 10% of it is felt by them. The thing is, they don't understand what could have happened in their life if not for Guruji. They treat it very lightly because they don't know the impact of this calamity that is going to happen. Because of his grace, and many a time he absorbs that karma on himself and he destroys it. But this truth is not understood by them because they have not actually experienced that event. If it would have happened, what would have been the calamities in their life? And when he cushions it off, you go through away with just one scratch. And like he always will give this example. If someone was to fall from a building, of 9 floors and break their leg and whatever should happen, even if they fall, the karma is anyways going to happen. They are going to fall, but nothing will happen. They are not going to break their leg. It will just go away with a scratch. And that is the kind of shock he absorbs. But you know what happens to individual? They are ungrateful. They don't even express their gratefulness or gratitude to the Master, to the Lord. Why? Because that impact is not felt. They take it for granted. This beautiful blessing, they think it is their birthright and they take it for granted. Even thank you doesn't come from their mouth. That's a very sad state. So that is why it's very important to be very grateful for having this blessing. Grateful to the Divine Lord that we have Him in our life. Trust me, in the 8.5 billion population in this world, nobody will have this grace except those who have this real Master with them. You don't know how priceless this is in our life. It's not worth equating anything to money or anything tangible in our life, because this is the grace. This is the firewall which every person, if they get to know, they will want to cut their right hand to be with this divine Master. So people who don't understand what they have in their life. That's a sad truth in life. So, this boat is so convenient that the women and lowly, ignorant people all can be accommodated at a time and taken to the other shore of the ocean. Now, here is he said something very interesting. What is he saying here? This boat is so convenient that the women and lowly, ignorant people all can be accommodated at a time and taken to the other shore of this ocean. Means what? It is so easy. Everybody he accommodates, even a woman. He's saying very specifically woman. Why is it being said? Even in Bhagavad Gita they said, right, everybody is given an opportunity to attain the divine Lord, including Shudras and women. It is mentioned. Why? Because women were not allowed in the spiritual world. Here with Krishna Bhagwan, he gives everybody an opportunity to redeem themselves. And that's the truth. So whether you are a woman, you're of any caste, it doesn't matter. God doesn't see caste, creed, community, all that. All this is the creation by the world. There are a lot of things how people have interpreted. See, the order of life, right, which was created class or the four sects, which was Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras, based on the duties which Krishna Bhagwan himself has, defined it. But how one interprets and how one misuses that interpretation is with the material, in the material world. Why? Because they have not understood the meaning. That is the problem. So anyway, it doesn't matter. So what is he saying here? God is for everybody. Krishna Bhagwan has not put any restriction that a woman cannot be devoted to me. Gopis were all who? They were all women. They were the highest devotees of Krishna Paramatma. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, you're going to learn about some very beautiful stories of women devotees also. And in the form of Kapila Muni, his mother was his devotee. And he taught this knowledge, he imparted. Krishna Bhagwan took the form of Kapila Muni to impart this knowledge to his mother. And that was very beautiful. So one has to understand the importance of being devoted to Krishna Bhagwan. So he says, everybody can sit in this boat and all can be accommodated at one time and given, being taken across the other side of the shore of this ocean. This boat can be rowed by the devotional power, which enables us to cut through the waters of bondage of karma, and in the direction of self-knowledge, it can be taken to the other shore. So what is it? It's all about devotion. How do you cut the bondage of karma? How do you, redeem yourself? It's very important from the cycle of birth and death. Then on this boat, the boatmen of Vairagya, that is desirelessness, are sitting on the four sides. They avoid the rocks of sense objects and safely row the boat to other shore. It's very beautifully explained. Eknath Maharaj has very nicely given this explanation. What is he saying? On this boat, the boatmen called Vairagya, which is desirelessness, means what? It is through your guru, when you are a devotee of Sri Krishna Paramatma, your guru slowly destroys these desires of yours. Whatever the desire might be, he will destroy those desires within you. So what they do? They are the desirelessness, are sitting on the four sides of this boat. They avoid the rocks of sense object. So what happens? So when the boat hits something, so it is called the sense object, which is going to disturb you in your life. So what happens when you have bhakti for Krishna Bhagwan? This sense of what does he say? They avoid the rocks of sense objects and safely row the boat to the other shore. So what happens to us as a human being? Because you have desires, so when the senses when the sense organ comes in contact with the sense object, when the senses come in contact with the sense object, you get disturbed. And then what happens? Your desires come. You always crave, you want, you're desiring, you're full of desires for the pleasures of the enjoyment. All that are sense objects disturb you. And here what is he saying is that rocking doesn't happen. Because of your, devotion to the Divine Lord, that can be averted. So that the shock absorbers are what? Devotion. So they don't rock the boat. They will very safely, shore you across. That's what he's saying. They break the waves of past karma and the present karma and guide the boat properly, cover the distance of prarabdha, that is karma selected by destiny to be gone through in this birth, and reach the other shore of Atman. I already explained, but let me explain this once again because this is a very important thing. What is he saying? They break the waves of past karma and the present karma. So what happens when you are in devotion, when you have the divine master, the Gurudev with you? What does he do? He destroys your past karma. And the present is one where he cushions it, which is something I explained. Now, something very beautiful he also does, provided, okay, there's always a disclaimer, provided you follow the rules, the code of conduct or the rules, whatever your Gurudev is teaching you, provided you follow. What does he do? He destroys your future karma also, which is the Agami or the Kriyaman karma. Means, see, in this life, he is giving you the knowledge. And what is he trying to teach you? To do nishkama karma, means selfless action. Now, when you do selfless action, you don't incur karma. So, he is destroying anything, any future karma that you might create in this life. See, understand, a man or the human being doesn't understand how much karma they are creating every given moment in time, whether it is with people, places, or things in life. We think we are not doing anything. Even by the thought process itself, you are creating a millions of karma. So it's not just this birth, but you are also in this birth, you are creating lot more karma for your future lives. That's the Agami karma. Now, because of this Gurudev and this boat, he can destroy your future karma as well. That is what he's saying. And the prarabdha gets cushioned in. So what is he saying? They break the waves of past karma and the present karma and guide the boat properly. Cover the distance of prarabdha. So, you are covering the distance of prarabdha karma selected by your destiny to be gone through in this birth. That's what I said. If you have to fall, you are anyway going to fall. So, only the Gurudev, only your Guru knows your past, present and your future. So I always keep saying this very important thing. If your Guru says, please do this, just listen to him. That might be the most stupidest and the simplest thing to do. What happens? Immediately our mind comes. Why should I do it? Why should I do this? The mind will come. You don't know why it is important. Like I gave this very stupid example of which it's not a stupid, that's the most relevant example, which happened with my Guruji and his devotees many, many years ago. At the time, he used to do satsangs in person, face to face. A lot of his disciples would be sitting. And one of the satsang, he was telling someone, he told all his disciples, can someone go down, see the time in the clock near the stairs? Very specific. You know what people did? Some saw their watch and said, Guruji, it is 12 noon. Some said, Guruji, the clock is on your head only, above your desk, above your chair where you're sitting. It's 12 noon. I think the sun is, on this side, so it is very bright. So it should be 12 noon. So everybody gave their own versions. And there was only one disciple and who went down, saw the time in the clock and came and told him the time. Now, this is called following the instructions of the Guru. Now, if you do not listen to the instructions of the Guru, please understand you don't know what your destiny is going to do. Now, when the Guru says certain things to you, the only reason why he says those words is because he wants to destroy the destiny from taking place. There are reasons. He is never going to reveal it to you. And then others were laughing. So when this person came back, my Guruji said, this is called following the Guru Agya. Means what? The instructions of the Guru. So he gave a very powerful lesson after that. So let me not go in detail on that. But the reason why I'm saying this is very important for us to understand. Why? Because every time when your Gurudev is giving you certain instructions, your mind comes in. You'll always question, how can I do this? I cannot do this. The first thing will come is, I cannot. How can I do this? What is going to happen? You think your life is driven by some material worldly people? Do you think your life is driven by your own, whatever do's and don'ts? It doesn't work like that. Everything is controlled by the divine Lord. But please understand, if the destiny has to be overwritten, then following the instructions of your Gurudev is very, very important. If you don't, then it is your funeral. Like my Guruji will always say, they can be my guest. I can only try to save. And if they don't want to be saved, they can get sunk in this boat. That is the prarabdha karma is waiting to eat them up. They can get into that. That is their problem, not mine. Very simple. See, understand one thing. when he first time says, he will try to save you a few times, maximum a few times. He'll very subtly say. The gurus are never going to interfere in somebody's destiny, but with goodness of heart, with, they're compassionate being. And they'll always try to save the person. But the person using his mind, his or her mind, does not follow the diktat, the do's and the don'ts. If he say it, you have to do, you must do it. If he says don't do it, please don't go into the direction at all. So when you don't listen to him, then your destiny is going to play its cards. Even God comes you, he can't save. Krishna Bhagavan also can't save you. Because understand, when the destiny comes in, takes over, it is Maya Devi who's under the control. He will never interfere in that. So be very careful. This is a very important lesson one needs to understand. Then, and reach, so what is he saying? Cover the distance of prarabdha karma selected by destiny to be gone through in this birth and reach the other shore of Atman. If there is any disturbance, the advice of the Guru protects them. And when they reach the other shore, they pull the boat by the rope of compassion with the strength of their own self-confidence. This is extremely important. Exactly what I already explained. If there is any disturbance, the advice of the Guru protects them. Now, what does it mean? Simply, I already explained. So, your karma is definitely going to fructify. But please understand, who knows what is your karma? Only the Guru knows your past, present and the future. What is going to come about, he very well knows. Your karma is only understood by him. Even you don't know anything. And what is he saying? This disturbance can be averted only by listening to the advice of the Guru. The Guru cannot protect them if you do not listen to his advice. Just sitting and listening to this satsang, yeah, little bits, definitely sins will redeem. That knowledge, the more you are listening, your heart is someday in life, it will get purified. And you continue to do so, it does happen. And it's not only for this life. You're actually investing in your future birth as well. It's a very important thing. So, he's saying, the advice of the Guru protects them, provided you listen. And if you don't listen, then it's a very big issue. Please understand. And when they reach the other shore, they pull the boat by the rope of compassion. So what is he saying? It's the rope of compassion. So he pulls the rope. And what does the rope denote? The rope denotes all that you have, and you pull the boat. The boat is pulled with the rope of compassion. Whose compassion? The divine Lord's compassion. Your Guru's compassion. And then what happened? With the strength of their own self-confidence. Now this self-confidence is who? You have to have. It's a self-effort. Confidence in whom? The words of the Guru. Not in anything. The words of your Guru. He is Lord Almighty. Do not forget. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma. The Paramatma has embodied itself in the form of the Guru. And Krishna Bhagavan himself is going to give a very important lesson in this scripture which we are going to study. How he reveres those who are the devotees of the Guru. Only to them he will say, I will reveal. I am ready to receive them. I am experienced. I live in the hearts of my devotees. Devotees here means the sages and the saints. And those who are devoted to the Guru. Please understand, you cannot directly achieve, you cannot reach Krishna Bhagavan like that. Krishna Bhagavan can be only attained through the Guru. Means how? Devotion to the Guru. Guru is the doorway to God. This is one universal truth everybody has to understand. You can have, like, there's a very beautiful story of Namdev. What is Namdev? I'm not going to run into another story, but I will give the story sometime else. Some other time we'll do. See, the most important is, without a Guru, you can't attain God realization. And so it is important that you understand your Guru forms the foundation, the very foundation of attaining this devotion to Krishna Bhagavan. Not otherwise. Then the boat swiftly reaches the farthest bank. The saints guide all the passengers to get down on that bank, where they get the benefit of self-realization, by which they have not to return to the world of birth and death. How beautiful it is. So the other side. So what happens when you go on the other side of the shore? There the saints guide you. What does it do? The saints guide all the passengers to get down on that bank. So who's guiding? Your Guru is the guide. He is the helmsman who crosses you across that ocean. of worldly existence. And then what happens? You don't have to return. There is no cycle of birth and death. Then only faith is sufficient. Number one word. Then the concept of being drowned has no meaning. What is required? First, faith. Faith in your guru is extremely important. You know, it's very beautiful. Many a time I see a lot of disciples coming here. Many people come here. Very simple. Even last week someone was here. Because of what my guru, my Guruji was teaching. See, it is called the truth. Every word from his mouth is gospel truth. So he was teaching something very important. But this individual had his own ideas about how to attain devotion or how everybody can reach Krishna Bhagwan. So my Guruji was just giving him some understanding, knowledge. It is called the truth. But the person was not ready to accept. So when you cannot accept, what happens? You get deluded. Why? Because your ideologies are broken. Because your ideologies are based on some concoction which you have heard in the world, which you think you know, or whatever you might have understood. But Guru is who? He's the knowledge incarnate. And he's telling you the truth. So yesterday my Guruji was saying something very beautiful. He said, Rajma, truth is bitter. People are not ready to take the truth. So it is very difficult for them to accept this truth. So they get deluded. Then what happens? Because they don't have the word called faith in the words of the Guru, their mind starts seeing the Guru as some ordinary human being. It starts to make judgments because whatever the Guru is giving you, that knowledge, the truth is not palatable to you. When it is not palatable to you, what happens? Your mind starts making judgments on this being. And then it feeds all the negative thoughts in you. Oh, he's wrong. He's telling everything nonsense. He's not even a guru. He's calling himself God himself. All those kind of thoughts come to you. And that's called Maya. It's deluding you. Now, everything negative about a God, about your Gurudev, whatever the thoughts you might have, please understand at that moment in time, you should recognize it is Maya in play. Because your mind is instigating against you, against your Gurudev. And that is very dangerous. And this happens to everybody. Nobody is an exception over here. All of us have to go through this, because what is the most important word in the foundation of the spiritual world is called faith. Absolute faith. It is not 99.99%. It is 100% faith in your Gurudev. And this test, it comes in every disciple and devotee's life. They all have to face it. So my Guruji was saying this. And he said, the moment when I say certain things, truth is very difficult for people to understand. And he said, when someone comes, he said this, they come with their so-called ego. See, ego is something you have to leave outside and come when you're coming to your Gurudev Sharan. You know why? Because it's only with humility and humbleness can knowledge come in. The ego is something we have to leave it outside. Many a time, the way how the Guru speaks can be, one might not be able to digest or one might not be able to accept. But what is the Guru doing? He's only destroying your ego. Because only when you destroy the ego can the knowledge be absorbed within. And everybody's ego is going to be destroyed. And if you can't handle that, that powerful lesson which he's going to do, the methods used are varied for every individual. Because that is only the Guru knows. He's the master. So only he knows about it. And when he does that, it hurts that individual. That hurt is what has to go away. It is either an inflated ego or a deflated ego. Any ego is dangerous. So understand this truth. So what is important? Only faith is sufficient. Then the concept of being drowned has no meaning. The goal where one has to go becomes identified with oneself. The seeker himself becomes the goal. How beautiful is it? So what is the goal? The seeker himself becomes the goal. Then there the seeker has not to, the seeker has not to swim, but he easily floats, and the achievement of the absolute Brahman is possible without any effort. So once you have this absolute faith in the words of your Gurudev and your Guru himself, what happens? Then there's nothing for you to worry. It is not for you who has to swim. You just effortlessly will float. The word is effortless. But initially what you have to put in is what? Effort. So what first, you have to do is arduous effort, which later becomes effortless. It just becomes so natural in you. But till that time, you have to put effort, arduous effort. It is not so simple. Okay. Then the goal where one has to, here. But he easily floats, and the achievement of the absolute Brahman is possible without any effort at all. Then it becomes effortless. For this purpose only, the Lord Narayana has given to the world the path of devotion. How beautiful it is. Then, the speciality of the Bhagavata way of life is that by that code of conduct, simple, ignorant people also go to other shore of ocean of samsara. In the next verse, the sage Kavi is explaining how Brahman is experienced without any hard work. How beautiful is that? Yeah, you don't have to sweat as much as you have to otherwise, but what is required is the most important things which you will continuously learn in all the chapters in this scripture. And if you can understand and follow, like my Guruji says, Krishna Bhagwan is in the palm of your hands. It is only that much distance. You can easily attain him. So with that, we will stop here and continue the next class, the next verse. So once again, thank you for joining the Sri Eknathi Bhagavat Satsang. Have a good day and good evening to you all. God bless.
Recording stopped.